Hey guys, what's up? MadSeason here, back with another video for you. Lots of news in the realm of Classic recently. Starting off, we have some unconfirmed leaks regarding Burning Crusade. Wanted to mention this first because it's the most recent big news that most of you are probably interested in. Basically a beta in mid-February. Remember, BlizzCon is online this year, February 19th. So if the leaks are true, it's probably an announcement plus a launch shortly after. And then following then, a 2.0 pre-patch mid-April. This is when we got the new talents, new honor system, and where everybody could buy any PvP gear, class balance of course, and all sorts of stuff. I'll have a link to the patch notes in the description. And lastly, the actual release date for May 4th, so go ahead and make your Star Wars comments. So, big news, but because it's unconfirmed, I don't want to go too crazy with that. If you want more details, I'll have a video by StaySafe linked in the description, who's the one who originally broke the news along with Nano, who worked on Nostalrius. What I do want to talk about though from this news is the future of Classic in general, and how we'll transition to BC, because there are a ton of questions and no answers. But using my high warrior intellect, I think we can draw some logical conclusions, as you'll see. We also recently had some interesting surveys pop up about not only TBC Classic, but also even Fresh Vanilla Classic. Would you play Fresh? Would you play BC? What's your interest in each of these? A while ago, we also had some surveys regarding the transfer method from Vanilla to BC. So in this video, I want to talk about all of this. I'm also mimicking all survey questions, so we the community can maybe see what Blizzard is seeing, and use that information to maybe get an idea of what they'll do. So vote, share them with everyone you know, your friends, your guilds. That's the main point of this video. So, as you know, the future of Classic is in question right now. Nixramas is out, and there's no more new content. Once you kill Kel'Thuzad, you've cleared the hardest raid in the game. What'll happen to the player base? Is the game by itself enough to carry an active population, or will it dwindle? What happens if it dwindles? Mergers, no mergers? Like I said, lots of questions. To catch up first here though, in March of 2020, Blizzard started sending out some surveys for BC Classic. Up until that point, it was just a wait and see game, and no one really knew what the future held. But those questions, combined with some interviews, all but confirms the recreation of the game's first expansion, and that question of if has now turned into questions of how and when. I wanted to first talk about Fresh, since that's the new development. Also in the background, even back during Phase 1 launch of Classic, there's been talk of Fresh servers from the community. As the name implies, new servers starting from Phase 1 are launched. No transfers of any kind, and Molten Core and Onyxia are the only 40 mans unlocked, and the game goes through the same or similar phasing schedule that it went through from August 2019 to today. This is what we got for questions in the survey, and they pertain not only to player interest in Phase 1, but also that interest compared to that of your original server and Classic Burning Crusade. So obviously here, they're trying to gauge interest on how the community will split up when all of this stuff is released. I like to think that I'm pretty in touch with the community these days. I always have my ear to the ground, and again, I'll have these polls for you to vote on, but I think most people are leaning towards BC Classic right now for a few reasons. One, although it's not really new obviously, since it was released 14 years ago, it's new in the Classic scene, and a new expansion with updated balance, more raids, new features such as Arena, 2 new races, new zones, professions. I think in general it's more appealing to somebody who's already played Classic Vanilla. Even though both options are really appealing, especially if they fix a lot of the stuff in Vanilla Classic, I think overall there's more interest in BC, and I can guess that's the way the poll is going to go. Reason 2 is, although there are a lot of people who want to start fresh, there's also a lot of people who want to continue their characters. With all of this news, the fate of the Classic servers we have now are in question. People are worried that all of the hard work they put into their characters will be for naught. What'll happen with their guild and their communities? Classic players don't really like change, if you haven't noticed yet. So there are a lot of people who want to keep their Nax gear and their rank 14 titles, gold and so on into the Outland. And reason 3, I think, although I'm not too invested into the private server scene here, from my understanding, the Burning Crusade is much less explored than Vanilla is. The order of popularity follows the original expansion release. So tons of Vanilla servers, and then a few BC servers, less Wrath, and so on, up to and including, BFA, for those who really loved island expeditions, I guess. Hey, no judgments. So what I'm getting at is BC is less solved than Vanilla, or at least not as many people have played BC post-original launch due to this increased scarcity. I think that both BC and Fresh would be quite successful. Burning Crusade is pretty obvious and doesn't really need an explanation. It's the natural progression of the future of Classic. And as for fresh servers, we have the private server scene as proof. It's been going on for over a decade, and its longevity is based around perpetual fresh starts when the server shut down willfully or get shut down by Blizzard. There's always a new one to take their place, and that's been going on since 2007 even, when vanilla originally ended, although I think it really gained steam around the Cataclysm era when Blizzard removed the old world. So in summary, what I'm saying is that I think BC Classic will come out, I think it'll be very successful, Fresh Classic will come out, and I think it'll be very successful, and that people will land in the order that you see here. I wanted to also talk about the transfer method of vanilla to BC. If you remember that old survey back in March, they polled people of 4 different ways into moving into the expansion. Completely new servers where you start at level 1, completely new servers where you start at level 58, all existing servers right now transfer to Burning Crusade, and you have the option of transferring off to permanent 60 cap vanilla servers, and all existing servers right now stay capped at 60 vanilla servers, and you have the option of transferring off to new servers that progress to the Burning Crusade. So again, I want everybody to vote on this so we can get an idea of what Blizzard is looking at, but first let me cover them. Each and every one of these has their good sides and downsides. Let's start with option 1, which is fresh level 1. Positives with this is that it's a fresh start. Like I said, the idea of starting fresh is appealing to a lot of people. How many times have you seen people ask, is it too late to start Classic? Regardless of the game, people don't like starting it when everybody else is way ahead of them. In Classic's case, full Nexramus gear, rank 14 gear, a ton of gold, and so on. Sure, they can get gear fast. My guild disenchants quite a lot of AQ gear at this point, but I think the major issue is people don't necessarily want to be fast-tracked unless they're a streamer. Sorry, I amuse myself, but the point is, the normal person just wants a fresh and even start day 1 with everyone else. And that's the major pull of fresh from 1 servers. The economies, many of which are in shambles due to Blizzard's poor policing of botting and multi-boxing, are reset. Specifically regarding multi-boxing, remember that's banned now, so fresh servers would have a better economy for that alone. Now we just need Blizzard to get off their asses and actually ban the bots that are infesting the game right now. Positive 3 is that you wouldn't be fully abandoning your previous server. This method keeps your original character on your original server, so if you ever feel like going back to vanilla, it's there waiting for you. Now, just how many people would actually go back remains to be seen. That's the purpose of the survey questions, but the door remains open with this method. But this leads me to the downsides. First being is that although the door is open, again, how many people will go through it? The characters are still there on the server, but it's my prediction that the average player is going to play on a fresh new BC server over a game they essentially beat, which may lead to dead servers. At the end of the day, it's an additional server. At some point, there are just going to be too many, so having these fresh from 1 servers offers no solution to the threat of all of the servers we have now becoming ghost towns. Downside 2 is the yang to positive 1's yin. Starting from scratch can be as bad as it is good, and I'm sure not everybody wants to start from level 1. They want to take their character with all of their gear and items and gold, PvP titles into BC, so this would be a forced restart for everyone, which would definitely cause some controversy. Downside 3 is subjective, and that's the fact that this obviously isn't how we transferred to BC back in 07. The way it worked is BC came out, and every server forcibly progressed, so the idea is that this option goes against no changes. Personally though, I think the alternative also breaks no changes, because we didn't have all of this gold and gear to our name back then anyways. Most people went into BC broke, and in Blackwing Lair and AQ gear in 2007, but today, many guilds have cleared Nax or will clear Nax by the time that BC Classic launches. We'll have a huge gold stockpile, transmute alts. This gets into that issue that I've been quite vocal about recently, and that's how no changes actually changes the game massively, which you'd know if you saw this recent video I posted, if you're curious. But moving on to method 2 here, fresh from 58, this shares all of the positives and negatives of method 1. Instead, an additional positive is that at least you don't have to level again. You wouldn't take your gear, gold, or other items, but at least you don't need to level. The downside is that you don't need to level, which just completely kills the old world. Although it's not specified, I'm assuming it's only a one-time thing and you can't spam 58s. If that were the case, that would be super broken because you could spam transmute alts like crazy and make Primal Might, Spellcloth, and other similar items completely worthless. But even if it's just one level 58, there are plenty of people that just focus on one character. They have just one level 60 because that's all they have time for. So this method would result in 90% of the Eastern Kingdoms in Kalimdor to be completely abandoned, which is just plain unhealthy. The expansion of course focuses on the Outland, but vanilla is still a huge part of the game. A big draw of MMOs is that it's this online sprawling world, and everywhere you go there's something going on. I don't know, I just think that 95% of the population being loaded directly into these 7 zones in the Outland would be plain wrong. We're playing the World of Warcraft, not the World of Outland. For option 3, we have all existing servers now transferred to the Burning Crusade, and you have the option, if you want, to transfer off to permanent 60 servers. A positive for this that a lot of people don't think about in my opinion, because it's sort of hidden in plain sight, is that this is the best option for combating against servers dying. With this method, the population of all of the servers we have right now maintains into BC, assuming that my prediction of most players moving forward to BC is correct. That's really important, and Blizzard can make an amount of permanent NonFresh 60 servers appropriate to the people who would play permanent NonFresh 60 servers, and as long as they don't make too many, these servers would actually have enough people to support the game, and people could find guilds and run raids and all that good stuff. It wouldn't maintain the NonFresh communities, but it would maintain the NonFresh population relative to the amount of servers they end up making. Positive 2 is that this maintains established communities for those who want to move into BC. Again, I think for the most part, the people who want to play vanilla forever will do that through fresh servers where they just keep restarting over and over, so they always have something to work towards. So this option will be the most healthy in maintaining the current server communities. So you would see the same people that you see now, the same guilds that you see now, and with how community oriented the game is, that's a very important positive. Positive 3 is that you keep your actual character that you leveled and geared. Pretty self-explanatory there. No reset progress. This is the no changes route. But on the flip side, for a negative, once more, I don't think it's really no changes because people are way more geared. Most people, I think, will have the fastest flying immediately, which didn't happen back then. And most people will have max gear, which wasn't the case back then. And that's important too, since a lot of this max gear is actually used in BC. You have the obvious stuff like Thunder Fury, but even things such as Consumes and even certain tier 3 sets are used in BC. And additionally, the economy will be as screwed as it is now. Another negative is that it's a one or the other option. With options 1 and 2, you have your original characters waiting for you should you ever return to them. With this one, it's BC or vanilla, one or the other. And for option 4, we have all servers stay vanilla, and you have the option to transferring to Burning Crusade. This one honestly is kind of poopy, I think. The only upside is that if people choose to stay non-fresh vanilla, your community remains intact, but again, if you're like me, you think that most people, if they choose to play vanilla forever, they're going to roll on fresh anyways. I mean, how telling is it that one of the survey questions asks for where players will spend their most time? Non-fresh 60 isn't even listed as an option. I think that all of these servers would be leached from both fresh and BC servers, so you're having all of these original servers that have a high potential of just dying as the population migrates away. So, it's a lot to think about. If you ask me, I think the best option overall is number 3. People keep their characters, communities remain relatively intact, and most importantly, as opposed to the other 3 options, this is the method that best combats servers dying. I think that's the most important thing here. Assuming that this list that I made earlier is correct, the population on the servers we have now theoretically would remain relatively the same, and for what I predict to be a small percentage of the people who want to play forever on the non-fresh 60 locked servers, Blizzard can make a few of those and retain a healthy population. This option, I think, would be the healthiest for BC, the healthiest for fresh, and the healthiest for non-fresh, and is personally what I'm voting for. I also predict that's what Blizzard will do because I think it's the safest option. They usually go with the safe choice these days if you haven't noticed. Remember, it was either BC or Classic Plus when I made that video back before the original survey. I said that BC was the safe option, and it seems like that's what they're going for here. The other 3 are pretty risky, and it's assuming that all of these original servers that we have now will persist throughout both BC and Fresh, which I would be surprised if they did because that's 2 different games leeching from them. But hey, who knows, I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, so we'll see. I do think that people are too quick to pick just one. Who knows, maybe the best route is to pick just one of these options as the primary, and maybe have a few servers of the rest. Like maybe option 3, vanilla to BC, with the option to transfer off to non-fresh 60, and then a few that start fresh from level 1, then a few that start fresh from 58, and let people land where they want to land. If I were in charge, that's probably what I would do. So, Burning Crusade Classic, Classic Fresh, Classic Non-Fresh, there are many paths to take. It'll be interesting to see which one we land in. Although I shared my personal opinion, the goal of this video wasn't to tell you what to think, more to just provide information and maybe put light on things that you haven't thought about. So if/when you vote on the official polls, you can make a more informed decision and provide better feedback for hopefully the best experience possible. Again, share the polls if anything. They mimic exactly what the survey questions ask. So if we can get the community to vote on them, maybe we'll have a good idea of what Blizzard will do. I hope you enjoyed the video, like it if you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Farewell for now, mortals. We hope you enjoyed today's video. See you again soon.